Sweet.
Okay. Hello. Um, I'm Reed, and this is called Hey, it's me and Syd, and we're gonna record a podcast. So I'm with my friend Syd here. Syd, you want to give a little background information as to who you are, what you do, your favorite way to express yourself artistically?
Dang, yeah, absolutely. My name's Sid. I use he, him pronouns. I guess I would describe myself as a queer and trans cartoonist, I guess is how we'll do it. Merging in mixed media as well. I kind of do a lot of different things. But generally I'm a recent graduate who is eventually looking to be a social worker and kind of be able to mix art in there, which is my favorite way of expressing myself and especially expressing my transness. And that mainly looks like doing cartooning, making comics, making zines, and collaging as well. Lots of things.
Yay. So, Sid and I work together on a zine called Genderbender, which is all about queer and trans stories told through art and artistic expression, creative expression through many, many different mediums. Um, and today we're going to talk about trans stories and media and uplifting trans artists, why it's important, and why it's important to be sharing happy trans stories. So for my project, I am, I'm like making this campaign to talk about happy trans stories and going against the counter narrative, which is like, yeah, trans stories are full of struggle and trauma and grief. And it's not saying that like I feel like there's just so much of that in media, and I think we need to reframe the trans narrative and have trans artists be telling these happy trans stories. And like these two narratives can, in a way, like coexist, but also we need to focus on what is important to, I don't even know how to explain it, like to just to keep telling these happy trans stories, to keep inspiring young trans people and like keep the trans joy everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely adore that and completely.
I feel like through like Genderbender, that was the first kind of trans art I made. And I was like, at first, it was about dysphoria or euphoria and talking about how I want to express myself. And then as the issues went on, it got to be more happy. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like I think just like as the issues go on and the themes change, like I slowly get more excited to talk about trans joy and like things I'm experiencing versus like when I first started it, I was like I'm just came out like 5 seconds ago. I don't know. I don't know what I want to look like. I don't know who I want to be, but I just came out 5 seconds ago. So like I don't know. Like I think over the past few years I've been really not playing with the concept, but just really focusing on trans love and trans joy and what I create. So, before I go on a tangent about that, let me think about these questions I wrote. Okay. So, Syd, what inspires you to tell happy trans stories through your art?
Oh, that's such a good question. And I might tie it back to what you were saying as like using art kind of as a form of self-reflection, especially when it comes to like coming out and navigating the trans experience, which is kind of what my art has turned into in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
My I always describe that um my OC or like my original character is just myself. So like I have one character that is on pretty much everything I draw, which is a little guy with curly hair and glasses and occasionally a mustache, which is basically just myself. Um and yeah, a lot of especially in like high school, I would draw that character a lot with a lot of different like reflection points. A lot of them were pretty depressing, I guess. Like there was
Yeah.
just some art that was just like I was kind of reflecting on a lot of different things, not even directly linked to my transness, but it was always that one character, which I found fascinating and what other people have found fascinating. Um, And so I think I've just been using that to almost create some form of like narrative pieces, I guess. More recently with comic making and doing more like narrative comics in which they're like reflections or almost like symbolizing journal entries, things like that is something I find a lot of joy in recently because yeah, I truly enjoy the idea of telling my own trans story through art and especially my trans joy. Because I agree that we are we see a lot of messaging about trans suffering and trans grief in media, but it seems that we are the only ones that will take the time to promote trans joy, and so I think that's why it's so vital for us to continue doing so. And doing it in a way that feels really authentic, which I'm biased, but I do believe that Genderbender is doing exceptionally well just through like variety of pieces that are being created and then selected to be in these zines. Like I one of my happiest moments of creation, I swear, was like the two of us sitting on a Zoom call and just looking through all the entries from this past issue because I was just like, even though I didn't know any of these people, I just instantly felt in community just through looking at them. Where like even if it wasn't my exact experience, I'm like, I'm feeling very connected to this. So even if it's not my own art, but just being able to experience other trans art as well, is something that is kind of indescribable. I just dropped my headphone. It's kind of indescribable, and yeah, trans art is literally it's like my livelihood. I can't live without it.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I just find myself when I'm making things just to, and I don't even know, indulge in the trans joy because I like recently I've liked making pieces that kind of like little celebrations of the basic trans joys or trans love or the relationships I have in my life of just my trans buddies are like I don't even like I grew up when I was growing up, I didn't really know any trans people until I turned like 16, 17. So it was like I couldn't figure myself out because I didn't have anybody to look up to except for
Mhm.
maybe like Ash Hardell on YouTube, like low key, like I watched their video, like Why I'm Not a Boy, like probably like 10 times between the ages of like 15 and 18. Like I was like I need this video. I need this I didn't have any like I just really didn't have any queer representation in my life and like I was looking outwards into the internet and that's kind of what made me want to make Genderbender because I didn't have anybody to look up to when I was younger in the queer community or like in my inner circles. And like I just wanted people to feel less alone. So that's kind of what started me wanting to make Genderbender. And then, like, I wanted to make a zine for a very long time, and I didn't know what to make it about. So then I came out and I was like, oh, the pieces are coming together. The pieces are coming together. But, like, I feel like in the past year or so, a lot of the topics have been like trans joy, trans love, trans queer joy is magic, I think was the last one. Trans joy
Mhm.
is magic, queer joy is magic, one of those. But we compared it to magic and there were a lot of really cool submissions and like what's it called? Like I feel like I'm trying to look back at this question. What inspires me to tell happy trans stories? Just basic trans joy, I feel. Because I feel like sometimes it could be as simple as like putting on my favorite flannel, like seeing a trans friend and talking about our favorite trans characters in our favorite show, or like just bonding over things that are really small in like and just but they're not. They're really bigger than they seem. Like just these basic things during my day because like I don't even know. Like that's what I made the zine about for this class. I made a little zine about like here's me in my flannel, here's me in my shirt. These are both made by queer artists I like. And it makes me really happy to be able to like represent like these queer art support them both like with my money, but also wear them. And then people are like, oh my God, what is that? And then I'm like, oh my God, I get to talk about my favorite queer artist for a hot second. But
Exactly.
like, I made my little zine about the just basic queer and trans joys I feel because I feel like we need to celebrate these things more and show their meaning because it's not always like just even the smallest victories are still victories. Like that's how I feel about a lot of things. And like especially just like living as a trans person, like OMG, I like my outfit. Awesome. OMG, um, like just little things can just add up. And it's really
Yes,
important for me, at least in my discovery journey, to like celebrate these wins. So that's what I'm really trying to embrace right now. Just like I'm really inspired to keep talking about these trans joys and reminisce and like just continue to bring them up in my day-to-day life because I want to make sure that like I'm noticing the trans joy that is around me and really like taking it in. Um, okay. What is the next question? What modes are your favorite to tell these stories, these happy trans stories? You talked a lot about cartooning. Is that a cartoonist stuff? Do you want to go more into like what inspires you to make the comics or like what got you into comics and why it's your favorite mode to tell the stories?
totally. Yeah, I like actually very similarly to how I can't describe queer and trans joy, I also cannot describe my love for comics in a way that I feel like I can describe it, but in a much more long form way, and one that I feel like will never kind of do justice. I mean, for my entire life, I've been growing up on graphic novels. When I say comics, I more so mean graphic novels.
Yeah.
I've never really been into like Marvel or DC comics. It's been like indie comics
Yeah.
and graphic novels. Um, I think I think comics get a bad rep, right? Because like it's not long form writing, it's pictures, and so people don't see the value in them. But there's so much intentionality that goes into visual art and visual media. And I look up to a lot of different comic creators a lot. Someone in particular I'm thinking of is a recent favorite of mine is Sam Sosbo, who wrote this book called Enlightened Transsexual Comics, which I'm going to read soon, and I'm very excited about it. But
I'm writing it down. I'm writing this down.
yes, I particularly enjoy that book and Sam's work in particular because it's like it's very narrative, having to do with transit, and that's exactly something that is my favorite mode of storytelling. Is like even if it's not like like the linear story of like here's how I came out and here's how I got on testosterone, which like I value those stories, and simultaneously like you were talking about, I really like the little stories of like what does it mean to be a trans person in day-to-day life, and that's kind of something that I prefer doing, is kind of moving through and describing what that trans joy looks like on a daily basis, what that kind of means, because I feel like that kind of um gets lost in conversations. Um, yeah, I'm trying to go back to the yeah, comic making is definitely my favorite and one that I'm still striving to get better at and do more frequently because it's something I do have a lot of perfectionism around. But the moments where I let go and kind of immerse myself in it, um, is trans joy in a way, it's queer joy in a way. That's where I feel it the most, is sitting at my desk with like all of my art supplies scattered all over the place. I'm making a mess and I'm just having fun. Like that's where I kind of locate my queerness, where I locate my transness, is through making art, because there's something that I think I feel the most connected with myself in those moments. And I'm sure you could probably say the same in terms of making and in term
Yeah.
things like that. But I also do find that queer joy in zine making as well, and being able to create the covers for Genderbender, being able to be a part
Ooh.
of that process, because very similar to you, before you invited me on to help with Genderbender, I've always wanted to make a zine, but I had no idea what to make it about, and that was kind of halting me. But then when I was able to contribute to a project that I already had so much love for and respect for, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And so like last winter when I made the uh latest cover for issue 6, and being able to design that felt so intentional, and so queer.
Yeah.
And,
It
um,
was so cool seeing your process for that, like the videos that you sent me, they were so cool. And like I just really liked seeing your entire artistic process and like, I'm such a fan. I'm such like we're friends, but I'm such a fan and I adore your stuff and your creative brain and I ah,
Thank you. And I feel the same exact way about
my
you. Like
God.
with the
Thank
magic theme, I like knew I wanted like a T-boy fairy in there. I knew I
yeah.
wanted like a non-binary sleepy wizard. Like those are things that I was like kind of processing in those moments. Then being able to like do a mixed media thing with like Posca pens and collage and then my own drawings, I was like, oh, this is my element. I'm right where I need to be right
I guess I'm answering these questions too now. What inspired no,
now.
that's okay. What modes your favorite self? I'm a mixed media man at heart.
Mhm.
I love me some Google Docs printouts and some glue sticks, the jumbo glue sticks, and a pair of scissors and sitting on my basement floor and getting my hands all full of glue and just going at it. I don't know, like the first one of the first pieces I ever made was like I cut out like I don't know who, I think their name was Lachlan Watson. I cut them out and like put like I don't even remember. I had the like TV head character and like I was like firstly I have to pick somebody that I admire and then I was like let's make them a character and I was like let's go at it and say whatever this means, what masculinity means to me through this like this creative interpretation of this I don't even know. Like I was just playing around with stuff like that. Like mixing playing with anatomy and like playing with these social constructs and trying to put that into a mixed media piece because the first few like gender bender issues they were like what is masculinity, what is femininity, what is androgyny, what are all these things that we made up and like what are all these things and what do they mean to you, but then what do they mean to everybody and like because I really wanted to see what everybody's different take on it was because
Yeah,
what I try to remind people is that like anyone can identify however they choose. And like, even if there are two people that identify similarly, they probably have completely different interpretations of what that label means. And like, that's just something I value so much hearing individual stories and hearing individual like narratives. And that is something I love about this anthology zine like mode because you can hear so many different snippets of different people's lives and you can just like you have like you're like transported into their life for like 5 seconds like or like
mhm,
through a poem or through a collage or through a painting you're like transported into their world and you can kind of interpret how they view certain things and I don't know I just really like that about the zine uh but I love mixed media. I like this stuff I usually submit to zines, like usually collages and stuff that I do by hand.
the
Yeah, I just
best.
went on a rant about gender bender, but I don't know. Giving
That
the
was like,
audience, I think I might put this on a YouTube channel for the gender bender fam. Low key, low key. That would be
whoa,
kind of cool. Then,
whoa.
but okay, so the last question I have here is why do happy trans stories matter? What are the goal of sharing these positive messages? You could take this anywhere. Like, I'm so curious as to what, like, I don't know, like, what makes you want to tell these happy trans stories, and what do you think, what motivates you?
Dang.
Oh wait, I already said what inspires you. So you could just go more into this. Just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Let me think. Well, I'll go with where my brain is leading me currently, I guess.
Yeah.
I, for context, I before graduating college, I I was in a lot of gender and women's studies classes, and oftentimes when we learned about um, transness, it was through a lot of like, especially um, like trans feminine genocide and suffering. And so those are a lot of the stories that I was experiencing, and I think it's what we're experiencing a lot. Like not to like tie it into national conversations, which I feel like all of us know that
Yeah.
it's happening right now,
Yeah.
and kind of how scary it feels. But as much as I can, I think when I, I'm able to like have a present moment where I'm like not thinking too broadly about everything that's happening nationally. I think the moments where I feel the most present in my community is when I get to see trans art, when I get to create trans art. Um, and I also came out at 12, so I was a pretty baby when I came out. And I do think I had something like gender bender to understand at an early age the full expansion that gender offers, the full expansion of how you can define your gender despite possibly presenting in a way that doesn't like fully align with it. Like I know for me, like I present pretty like leaning towards like heavy masculinity, but I don't necessarily associate myself with that. It's kind of more a little bit fluid, which is exactly what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Um, so to make this more short form, I want my experiences to be able to resonate, to possibly have the opportunity of resonating with more people. And if that can happen, if I can have that community in some way, I think that's very special, even if I don't know what's happening. Like the way in which I feel deeply connected to trans art when I see it, where I'm like, oh my God, that's my community. I don't know this person yet. I know this person kind of thing.
Yeah.
If that can happen with my art, that'd be wild. I don't know if it ever has. But if for whatever reason it has before, I think that would be like the greatest treasure of all time. Because I do, and I never know how to explain it, but like especially when I look at like I've been able to see like patches of like the AIDS quilt in the past. Like I've been able to see some of those in person. And I remember having a very visceral reaction to it, like very emotional tie to it, where I'm like, I just feel so connected with this person. I feel so connected. It's the same thing when I read different like queer trans zines, when I read queer trans comics, and I think that's just what it means to be in that community. And so it is an honor to be able to do that through Gender Bender. So I think that's what I'm really striving towards when I make art, I guess, when I collaborate with you, is hopefully resonating with other people in my community, particularly young people though. That's ideal, obviously, because like as older people, we kind of have more language or more means to explore different things. But sometimes when you're young, you don't have all the information. And so it's nice to be able to find something where you're like, oh, okay, it's fine. I'm good. I feel like that was like I don't even know if that was in a linear direction, but that's fine.
That is fine. I'm happy to hear what you have to say on these topics because I just like the second I came up with the idea of doing a podcast, I was like, I know who I'm gonna ask. I was like, I know who I could have a nice long conversation about this with. And
Yay.
I, for me, why do happy transfers matter? Because I want to let other trans people know, and trans kids especially, like that it's okay to be feeling the feelings you're feeling. Like that sounds really silly what I just said, but it's okay to like feel and express how you feel. It's like, I don't know, like when I was younger, I didn't really know how to express myself in a way that was comfortable. I didn't really know what I needed to do for a long time to like just basic things like cut my hair shorter or wear more like stereotypically masculine clothes, which was really just like hoodies and stuff. But I don't know,
Yep.
when you're socialized as a girl for a really long time, like I don't know, there's certain things that are just like out of the box that I don't know, like I just wanted a different wardrobe and I wanted to just do these basic little things and I didn't know how to even go about starting all that. And I
Mhm.
just feel like to show other people and especially kids like, hey, we've all been there, kind of like I don't know, it's really reassuring. It's really
Oh yeah.
reassuring to see older trans people, and it's really inspiring. Even me sometimes when I see like on TikTok or other places like older queer people, like it's just really, really inspiring because I'll see some like a trans dad or somebody and almost start tearing up
Oh yeah.
because it is such a beautiful thing to know that like it is possible to
Yes.
grow up and live a happy trans life. It is just really extremely reassuring, and it gives me a lot of hope. Like the next issue I think is going to be like trans hope or something. Like hope and like for the future and like what inspires you, what gives you hope as a trans person. Like that's what I've been thinking a lot about this like last past week or two. Um because I don't know, I'm just kind of reflecting on my journey, and I'm just like thinking like, "Oh my God, like I want a brighter future for trans people. Like I want to manifest this into artwork and like continue to promote this idea." So what did I even so like why did happy trans stories matter? Because like they're so important, and I feel like there's a lot of people that value showing the struggle of transness, and I feel like we could flip that a different way and like just start promoting this just happier image, because I feel like we need to show people that trans joy is possible. It is trans love is possible. Like everything like it just yeah, I don't know, but like they matter. They matter. That's my end statement. They matter very much, and they matter more than you think. Um the goal of sharing these positive messages, spread hope. Spread hope. Like, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about that lately. Like, I've been really mad, feeling a lot of trans rage, as they say. Who says that? I don't know. It's just a term that I've been thinking about a lot, because I feel like I only see cis people stick up for trans people when specific things happen in the world. And I
Mhm.
really want to see more cis people that are showing their allyship differently, not when they're asked to, but
Mhm.
to like, I don't know, feeling a lot of feelings. But we'll table that. But anyways, we'll sandwich it somewhere else another time. But yeah, I don't know. Like I want to see more positive trans stories, and I don't want to be the only. I'm not saying I'm the only one telling them, but I want to see more people around me promoting them and showing others like, hey, this is something happened to me. And this is why it means a lot. And it could just be a basic thing, as I was saying before, like, hey, I got dressed today and it made me really happy, or like, hey, I saw my friend for coffee and we talked about this the whole time, or like these little things that I feel like as people we don't show how much we value them. I don't know. I just like the little victories. I'm a guy that likes the little wins, and
Yes.
little victories are still victories, and I feel like we need to promote these narratives of happy trans things, happy trans people, and trans people living their lives authentically. Um,
Yes.
I don't know, like any other words? Any what would you want a trans person watching this, or a cis person? What would you want people at home? I'm assuming they're at home. I don't know. I feel like a talk show host right now. Jimmy Fallon or somebody. This is so Jimmy Fallon core. No, I don't know.
So Jimmy Fallon coded right now. Trans
Yeah.
Jimmy.
But what would you want the viewers at home of just like to know
I think
about anything?
I think I'm sitting with two main things right now. I think the first one is I keep coming back to this idea that I truly believe that being trans is one of the biggest joys of my life. I think sometimes in narratives it's viewed as like kind of like an inconvenience of like a, oh, here's this community that, yeah, we should be okay with how they represent themselves gender wise, but gosh, it's got to be hard. Gosh, it's got to, and don't get, it is obviously
Yeah.
hard, but also like, I would never want to be cis. Like, I love being trans. I love being trans mask. Um, I I can't be more grateful for the community that I have with me every single day of my life and being able to confide in them in a way that like I just can't with other people. And it's something that is fine. It doesn't mean that I like hate cis people. It just means that like I have this like beautiful beloved community that I'm proud of being involved. And like it's not just a pride out of suffering, but just like or a pride out of resistance, but just a pride because, like I love the body I'm in. which like wasn't always the case, but now because I have really connected with my transness in a way that feels right. I love my body. I love the way I move through life. So I just want to make that clear is like trans joy is something that is just like exists in so many beautiful different ways and shows up for different people. Um, and also for particularly like queer and trans people watching this, um, art is a beautiful way to express yourself. It also can be something that feels scary, but I say this because it took me a long time to get there. It doesn't need to be perfect. Like the best kind of art is messy, is bad, is like not in the conventional lines where it's like, I don't know how to draw anatomy, but I'm still drawing because it's fun for me. And you can do it in so many ways, and it is art. If you are creating for yourself, if you're creating because it feels good, because you're having fun with it, that is art objectively. Like that's just how I view it. So have fun with it. If it feels something that could be like any kind of fun for you, take an afternoon and make a mess. If it's paint, if it's embroidery, if it's drawing, if it's collaging, like make a zine, have fun, and make it for yourself. You don't need to sell it. You
Yeah.
don't need to give it to anybody. It literally can just be there for you. But if you give it to other people, even better. You make community with art. I'm gonna get off my soapbox because I could talk about that for a long.
We could go.
Um,
I just can foresee this being a thing we do, where it's just like, hey, let's pick a topic and we just go at it. I
and
feel
I'm
like
so there.
that we could have so many conversations about different topics. Oh,
Boom.
yes. I'm trying to think. It's a podcast. I don't even know if I'm going to upload this as a podcast or a video or what even, but it could exist as many different entities. Okay, do I have final words? I don't know. I I don't know. I'm just so inspired by the world around me and I just feel like we need to keep reminding each other how much we mean to each other.
I
And
love it.
like sometimes I just post on like gender bender. I'm like, tell a trans person you love them today, or like tell the trans people in your life you love them because like it's just so important to spread the love. It is so important to spread the love. It's so important to remind the trans people in their life, your life, how much they mean to you. And it's just like just a basic act of kindness and joy and queer love and many different things. But I don't know. I feel like spreading trans joy and trans love are my favorite topics in
Yeah.
the thing. Like I think a few months ago, I'm trying to think of when it was. A few months ago or a month or two ago, I bought chalk at CVS and I just ran out onto campus and I was like seeing a lot of people write like vote for this guy for school president, class president, or like whatever the college version of that is. And like for student government and stuff. And I said I drew a little trans heart thing and I said like trans what did it say? Now I have to pull it up because I don't want to get this wrong. It said something like trans love, okay, trans love always wins. And it looked like this.
Yes.
And it was just gave me so much joy because like I didn't know there were gonna be probably hundreds of people walking by that day. And it just meant a lot to me. Like it didn't have my name. I didn't have any credits. I didn't have an at for my Instagram. It was just kind of like a thing I did. And it made me very happy. And I feel like just spreading this basic idea of trans joy and trans love, like I don't know, those are my favorite things right now. So I could go off on why it's important, as I said many times, and hear all of my different ideas on that. But I don't know. We need more love. We need more, like, weird joy. I don't know. We need to talk about it more, maybe.
Hey,
Maybe.
absolutely. How about?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yay. This
Yes.
was the Reid and Syd podcast super special. Make sure to click that. I don't know if there's even going to be a subscribe button. I don't even know where I'm uploading this, but click it. Imagine if there's a subscribe button down below, you're clicking it. Imagine
Yeah.
clicking it. Um, thank you all for listening or watching or however you are consuming this. I appreciate it. Um, yes, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Woo! Woohoo!